When McCarthy, Aaron Jones, and Jordan Mason share the backfield, it's not the offense that changes, it's the opposing defense that loses its footing. Three distinct profiles, one system, and a question that's starting to echo in Minnesota. How far can this trio take the Vikings? The doubt is no longer whether McCarthy is ready to take the reins, but rather what happens when he steps onto the field with a ground game designed to protect, attack, and confuse defenses. Are we talking just yards or an offensive machine built for something greater? In this video, you'll understand how the Vikings are building a ground weapon with Jones, Mason, and McCarthy, and why this trio could be the quiet key to transforming the franchise's offensive identity by 2025. When the Vikings entered the forced renewal period in 2024, two fundamental questions prevailed: how to strengthen an inconsistent ground game and simultaneously prepare the ground for the development of a franchise quarterback. The solution found by the front office materializes now in 2025, combining veteran experience with raw talent in an approach that prioritizes interdependence and tactical complementarity. By building a backfield that integrates Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, the goal is not only to diversify the ground attack, but also to create a protective environment for the development of McCarthy, the first-round pick who is now preparing to take the reins of the offense after a year of development without official snaps. Jones, even at 30 years old, remains one of the most efficient processors of zone-based systems in the league. His ability to identify gaps and attack them with quick decision-making is not just an individual skill, but a tool that enhances the entire offense. The average time of 2.66 seconds behind the line of scrimmage is a sub-radar metric that reveals a lot about his decisive efficiency. This ability to process and react quickly creates an environment of positive predictability for the line play. The men on the front line know exactly how long they need to sustain their blocks before Jones finds the opening. In direct contrast, there's Mason, a finisher with a different physical profile. Heavier and with a lower center of gravity, he turns contact into forward progress. His average of 5.2 yards per carry reveals a runner who not only absorbs punishment, but converts collisions into positive yardage. The true genius of this setup lies in the complementarity. While Jones operates with elite zone patience and gap identification, Mason brings finishing power and tackle-breaking ability that create a constant dilemma for defensive coordinators. In Jones's 1,138 rushing yards in 2024, what impresses most is his ability to create in congested spaces. His average of 3.18 yards after contact places him among the best in the league in this aspect, a direct reflection of his consistent pad level and leg drive. However, when we look at Mason's work, his tackle-breaking ability numbers, one forced tackle every 12.4 carries compared to one every 14.2 for Jones, reveal a runner who not only survives contact, but actively seeks it out. In 2024, Mason produced explosiveness in concentrated doses, 789 yards on 153 attempts, with impressive 2.9 yards before contact against 2.7 from Jones. His work between the tackles, particularly in gap scheme concepts, creates a dynamic where defenses need to position themselves to absorb physical impact, often compromising their gap integrity responsibilities. This tactical duality creates an ideal platform for the development of McCarthy. The presence of two running backs with complementary profiles allows offensive coordinator Wes Phillips to build specific packages for different situations without sacrificing unpredictability. When Jones is on the field, respect for the ground game comes from his ability to turn any run into vertical explosion. When Mason takes over the backfield, defensive terror comes from the anticipation of inevitable contact. In both cases, the effect on the defensive structure is the same: safeties who hesitate, linebackers who overcommit to gaps, and crucially, cornerbacks who cannot ignore the action in the backfield. For McCarthy, this scenario represents the ideal environment for transitioning from college football to the NFL. His work at Michigan, where he operated an offense that passed on only 40% of snaps, prepared him for a system where the ground game is not just complementary, but foundational. His ability to execute play actions with his back to the defense, a skill increasingly rare among college quarterbacks, finds perfect synergy with the styles of Jones and Mason in situations where defenses are forced to respect the fake handoff. Due to the presence of two legitimate runners, McCarthy gains that extra half second that transforms a closed window into an opportunity. The natural progression of this dynamic also benefits the line play. Offensive coordinator Phillips structures his scheme so the men on the front line can work in controlled aggression, knowing they have runners with distinct abilities behind them. In inside zone concepts, where Jones excels with his one-cut ability, the offensive line can focus on creating initial vertical displacement, trusting that Jones will find and exploit any emerging gap. In gap scheme runs, where Mason shines, the same lineman can focus on more aggressive down blocks, knowing they have a runner who will maximize their initial work. When we examine advanced stats, the interdependence becomes even clearer. Jones finished 2024 with 51 receptions for 408 yards and 2 touchdowns, posting a catch rate of 82.3%, statistics that position him as a reliable safety valve for any quarterback, especially a rookie. His 20 receptions that resulted in first downs demonstrate his value in critical situations. Mason, on the other hand, recorded only 14 receptions throughout his career, indicating an area for development but also a clear specialization. He is the hammer, not the Swiss Army knife. This specialization does not limit the offense. On the contrary, it creates a system where the coordinator can alternate between different offensive looks while maintaining the same personnel package. With Jones and McCarthy on the field, the run-pass balance tends to equalize, with emphasis on coverage exploitation after simulated run action. With Mason and McCarthy, the defensive expectation shifts to a more aggressive stance against the run, opening opportunities for vertical shots against compromised coverages. The value of this setup for McCarthy cannot be underestimated. At Michigan, he was the second quarterback in the FBS in touchdown passes under pressure, 13 touchdowns against 4 interceptions, demonstrating poise and precision even when the pocket collapsed. This skill, combined with a system that naturally delays defensive pressure by mandatorily respecting the ground game, creates an environment where even misreads can be mitigated by the structural support of the system. In third down situations where new quarterbacks often expose themselves, the Jones-Mason committee offers crucial tactical versatility. Jones, with his high catch rate and ability to create after the catch, provides a low-risk, high-reward option in situations of imminent pressure. Mason, despite being less developed as a receiver, forces coverages to respect the power run element even in obvious passing situations. The presence of this combined backfield also opens the playbook for more creative explorations of McCarthy's mobility. His college tape shows a quarterback who not only escapes pressure but keeps his eyes on the field during lateral movement, a skill that directly translates to bootlegs, designed rollouts, and sprint outs, concepts that naturally integrate into a system with strong ground game identity when analyzing specific plays from his college tape. Such as his performance against aggressive defenses, we notice that McCarthy is not just an adaptable pocket passer, but a defense manipulator. His consistent use of hard count in the red zone to generate free plays demonstrates a processor who understands how to create tactical advantages even before the snap equality that amplifies when defenses need to allocate additional resources to the backfield. Jones's consistency also provides security in one of the most neglected but crucial aspects for young quarterbacks: protection against the blitz. His average of 5.1 yards per touch in 2024 forces defenses to consider more than just the possibility of a pass in third down and medium-long situations. In the context of a rookie quarterback, this translates to fewer loaded boxes and more opportunities for clean processing of coverages. In the red zone, where margins for error shrink and windows close, the tactical combination becomes even more powerful. Jones's ability to maintain low pad level and finish with lower body power. 3 of his 5 rushing touchdowns in 2024 came inside the red zone, creates a reliable point of support, while Mason's physical presence offers alternatives in situations where defensive density prevents more horizontal runners. Looking to the immediate future, the system built by the Vikings through this configuration is not just about facilitating McCarthy's transition, but about building a sustainable offensive identity. The presence of 2 running backs with distinct capabilities allows the offensive coordinator to adapt the game plan week by week, exploiting specific weaknesses of opposing defenses without compromising the basic identity of the offense. This tactical flexibility is particularly valuable considering the balance of power within the NFC North division. Against aggressive front sevens that prioritize vertical penetration, Jones can exploit cutback lanes and front-side bounce options. Against disciplined defenses that maintain gap integrity, Mason can impose his physical will to create displacement where natural openings do not exist. The true measure of success for this system will be McCarthy's development throughout the season. If the ground game can establish consistent credibility, his progression in reading different coverages and his work on intermediate throws against various defensive shells will naturally be facilitated. His work at Michigan showed a disciplined passer who can operate both under center and in shotgun, a valuable asset for a system that seeks run-pass balance. The re-signing of Jones after his solid 2024 season, 1,138 yards, 5 touchdowns, was not just a decision based on production, but an investment in offensive stability during the quarterback transition. Even at 30 years old with 8 seasons and over 7,000 career rushing yards, his presence offers technical and emotional security. He is the veteran presence who understands the pressure to perform now without sacrificing long-term development. Meanwhile, Mason represents the immediate future, a 25-year-old runner whose tackle-breaking power has yet to reach its technical ceiling. His career average of 5.3 yards per carry positions him as one of the most efficient backs in the league, even though his total volume, 236 carries in his career, compared to 1,432 for Jones, limits the statistical sample. For offensive coordinator Phillips, the combination of Jones and Mason represents unprecedented tactical flexibility. In heavy formations, the pressure on McCarthy decreases substantially when defenses need to allocate extra resources to contain legitimate ground threats. In spread formations, the credibility of the ground game opens space for longer developing routes to become viable, even with limited protection. This balance is not just about minimizing pressure on McCarthy, but about maximizing his chances of success in transitioning to the professional level. His ability to identify blitzes, adjust protections, and deliver passes while moving indicates a processor who can absorb and implement complex concepts gradually without the need for a limited playbook that often accompanies rookie quarterbacks. The synergy between the run game and quarterback development is no accident. It is the product of specific planning that recognizes roster realities and long-term development needs. For McCarthy, the presence of Jones and Mason not only creates a protective environment, but a learning platform where his mistakes don't necessarily result in third down and long situations. compromised field position, or insurmountable scoreboard deficits. For the Vikings, the Jones-Mason-McCarthy combination represents more than a temporary solution. It is the foundation of an offensive identity that values complementarity, versatility, and sustainable development. As McCarthy evolves and assumes greater responsibility within the system, the balance will naturally adjust, but the presence of a multifaceted ground game will continue to be the foundation upon which his development is built. Thank you for watching, and go Vikings!